Are you noticing inflation? Well, the paper money you're holding in your wallet is losing value every day. And it's all by design. See, the federal government owes $34 trillion and it can't pay that back legitimately. They're broke. So what does the federal government do? Just prints money, just like a counterfeiter. Smashing the like button is free though, so if you haven't already done so, it is appreciated. The government knows that you don't like inflation, so they pretend to care. Basically, they have this institution. It's called the Federal Reserve. It's in charge of trying to maintain the dollar's value. So what they'll do is, if they see massive inflation, they'll raise interest rates to slow down economic activity. Right now, the Federal Reserve can't lower interest rates now because that will cause even more inflation. Instead, the Federal Reserve is likely to keep interest rates higher for longer. In general, interest rates have a tendency to slow down economic activity. This is because when interest rates are high, people have less of an incentive to borrow, and that means less money is sloshing around the economy. The Federal Reserve claims they are data dependent and will adjust interest rates based upon economic data that they review. It looks like inflation is continuing to increase. Like right now, the Federal Reserve would be disinclined to lower rates and may even raise rates further. That seems hard to believe, considering that right now the interest rates are at 5.5%. However, there is one group at the federal government that just wants to keep creating more inflation because it benefits them. Congress is not cooperating. They have a $1.4 trillion deficit. Right now, the federal budget of the United States is an insane $6.13 trillion. How can any one organization spend that much money properly? Answer: it obviously can. No, none of you are happy with the way Congress is spending the money. You need to write to them, tell them, look, cut spending. After the 2020 COVID spending bids took place, the federal government never went back to the rate of growth in federal spending that took place in 2019. One would have thought, okay, after the emergency passed, we should go back to the level of federal spending that was common in 2019. For instance, in 2019, the federal government spent $4.4 trillion. And then after COVID caused shutdowns around the nation and federal spending had to skyrocket to ensure people didn't go hungry and had their jobs paid for, the spending went to $6.5 trillion. Now we're in 2024, emergency is over, and the federal government is spending $6.1 trillion, which is still 35% higher than 2019. There are so many factors that are pushing inflation higher. For instance, shipping. Due to terrorism concerns, large shipping containers are avoiding the Red Sea and the Suez, and as a result, large shipping containers have to go around Africa to avoid being attacked. This is an election year, so politicians around the world are going to feel like they need to print massive amounts of money and hand free goodies to their constituents to buy votes. And speaking of bad intentions that went crazy, in California, fast food workers now receive $20 an hour, which means that fast food prices are skyrocketing. The state of California made it seem like this $20 will help people deal with inflation, but these costs are passed on to consumers, so the benefit seems to be non-existent. People focus on inflation in real estate never discuss how federal and state capital gains taxes can limit supply, which causes real estate prices to remain elevated and unaffordable. Why would someone sell their home if they are going to pay an astronomical amount of taxes? Answer: they won't. These taxes are designed to limit supply, and it's kind of insane that we just don't say, look, you want to sell your personal residence, there should be no tax whatsoever. It's kind of insane that we purposely limit supply like this. At the federal level, the government is making it as difficult as possible to drill for oil and build new oil refineries. Since transportation costs are embedded into the price of goods, this results in higher prices. So, how can you, as a consumer, try to deal with this massive inflation right now? I recommend buying discounted gift cards to save money when buying in stores. For example, one can sometimes buy discounted Starbucks gift certificates that are 7% lower than face value, or if you like Chipotle, sometimes you can get that 7 to 8% discounted from face value if you buy the gift card. One could buy gold if one is concerned about maintaining their purchasing power, because over the long run, gold maintains its value. For instance, if you were able to buy a home with a particular amount of gold, you could still buy a home with the same amount of gold today. So, what it is it's real money. It does not degrade in value over time. Now, some people say that's true with Bitcoin. I would like to think that's true, and I think that it's possible. I think we're still at a we're still waiting and hoping for that to be the case. Inflation is always a monetary phenomena. So if the government really wanted to fix this problem, there are ways to do that. For instance, Congress can just cut spending dramatically. If I were in charge, I would, and I wanted the dollar to be more valuable, I would lower spending at the federal level by 50%, or at the very least just had a balanced budget. You would think that would not be the hardest thing in the world to do. That would result in a lot less inflation, possibly even disinflation. So that would definitely help things a lot. We would definitely have a much better environment without all this inflation, and people would be happier. Instead, people are scrambling. They're trying to do multiple jobs, and unfortunately, they're having a tough time making ends meet with this massive inflation. Smash the like button if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video.